Well, hello everyone and welcome to another very exciting episode here on the MIgardener channel. So it is spring, and right about now the nights are in the low 40s and the days are between 50 and 60, which is perfect for one thing, and that is early spring vegetables, and specifically lettuce. I always have my lettuce bed here because it gets just about between 5 and 6 hours of sun, which is great for lettuce. If I planted tomatoes here, they have a kind of a hard time because they require full sun, which is typically between 8 and 12 hours. So you want to make sure that the spot you have gets some shade. Not a whole lot of shade, but like I said, between 5 and 6 hours of sun, and the rest being in partial shade or full shade, because lettuce does not like the hot sun. There are a couple of varieties that can tolerate it, but don't really like it all that much. So we're going to focus on just the wide majority of them that like cooler weather and not a whole lot of strong sun. Because when they're in hot weather and in full sun, they're going to bolt quicker, and that means they get bitter and they start to flower. So we're going to get started here with the full tutorial on how to plant some lettuce for your spring garden. So the next thing we're going to focus on is the soil. The soil is really crucial for having a healthy plant. So we're going to optimize the soil to grow specifically lettuce in this episode. So you want your soil to be sandy loam. If it's clay, you need to start amending it with something because lettuce has very fine roots. And if you have clay, clay tends to compact and does not allow for really good root penetration. In fact, most vegetables don't really grow very well in clay, but lettuce specifically does not like heavy clay soil just because of those very fine wiry roots. So my soil has been amended with about 3 bags of regular sand. I typically do that every year, and then I also add about the same ratio of compost. So 3 bags of sand and 3 bags of compost into my lettuce bed. And lettuce likes a pretty neutral pH. They can tolerate alkaline, but they don't like acidic. So if your pH is around 7, you're great. Any higher than 7, you don't want to go any higher than about 7.5, 8. I wouldn't go any higher than 8. That gets a little too alkaline. Now the next thing you want is nitrogen. Lettuce are very heavy feeders because they're all leaves, and typically your leafing vegetables are going to be your heaviest nitrogen feeding plants. So what I have here is just some of my my Trifecta Plus. It's my own fertilizer blend, but whatever you choose works as long as it's a little bit higher in nitrogen. And you can have other things like phosphorus and potassium and micronutrients. Those aren't going to hurt it, but the main thing is that you have enough nitrogen because like I said, without that, you're going to have a stunted plant. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to turn over this soil. I always turn it over, and it just allows you to have a really loose soil because over the winter, my soil tends to compact down even with the sand and stuff. Now you'll notice that when I do turn it over, it is very crumbly, but it's just to turn over any little weeds that are on the top and just to loosen it up that much more to get ready for planting. And as you can see, my shovel easily goes all the way down. If you can't do that, you want to amend your soil with some sand and some compost because I really don't have to try very hard to flip this soil over. And I'll even show you some compacted stuff right here. This is what I consider compacted. Okay, this, I mean, I can't even grab a clump because it's just so, it's compacted, but it's loose. See right here, this is what you consider a ball of compacted soil. But if you look at this, there's absolutely no compaction. It's just from the rain and the winter of the weight of the snow kind of packing down the top. And I just want to make sure that it's nice and loose so that the roots can go straight on down. And obviously, as you can see, I'm working my way backwards so that I'm not stepping on what I just loosened. And another tip for your lettuce bed is if you want to plant some other things like asparagus and cabbage and spinach, they also do very well in alkaline soil. So one of the things that I'll do is when I plant, you can plant stuff that does well in alkaline soil, because if you were to plant tomatoes, you wouldn't really have a whole lot of success because tomatoes like acidic soil. So I try to plant things that go well together in that type of pH. That way I can optimize my space because lettuce is only good for the springtime. And after that, I don't want to just have an open bed. So I typically will plan things out accordingly so that when my lettuce is ready to be harvested, I can have a plant that can do well in the summer ready to go. And that'll typically be like my cabbages. I also would interplant my spinach with my lettuce because of the fact that the spinach is also an early spring crop, but it doesn't take up a whole lot of space at all. So, all right, next what I'm going to do is I'm just going to amend the soil with some fertilizer now. I have my Trifecta Plus here, and this is available for sale on MIgardener.com and our Facebook store. If you like it, great. If not, like I said, just use what you have. I typically just sprinkle, about a cup over. I mean, I don't really measure this out all that much, but if I were to say for a specific measurement, I'd say about a cup over 3 or 4 square feet, maybe 5 square feet. Not a whole lot of science there because, like I said, it's an organic fertilizer, so you can't really burn it, and it's got a lot of calcium in it, so that's good for those plants. Then I just rake it into the top layer of soil here where the roots are going to come in contact with it. And that also kind of breaks up those extra little clumps there, helps just make it that much looser. And we're almost ready to plant. So we're just planting the speckled lettuce, and it looks so unique and it's very interesting. It tastes great too. So we have a plant here, and we want to plant about anywhere between 5 and 6 inches behind that. So we have a plant over here, and a plant right here, and a plant right here. And then that way they can grow up and be nice and full, and you can use your space more efficiently. Now the thing is with the speckled lettuce is it's not really a head variety, and it's not really a leaf variety. So it's kind of a little bit in between, and so the outside leaves can be used as leaf lettuce, and then as it forms, it also forms kind of a head, so you can harvest it as a whole as well. So what we're going to do is we're just going to continue planting these out, and we're going to get all these planted, and then all we're going to do is water them in, and we should be all set. All right, that just about does it here for this growing guide. I hope you all enjoyed, and hopefully you learned something new. If you want to check out more growing guides, there are going to be a lot more coming soon, so stay tuned for those. And also you can check out the ones we already have done on MIgardener.com, go to videos, and then select growing guides. And they're all plant specific, so there's no other plants thrown in but one specific plant. So if you enjoyed this episode, you're going to like those as well. So as always, this is MIgardener reminding you to grow big or go home, and I'll see you all in the next episode. All right, take care, guys. Bye.